Let me share my screen quickly with you. Okay, I'm sure everybody can see my screen now. So we are going to look at what advertising agencies do. Okay, so remember we talked about the responsibilities, the duties of each personnel within the structure of an advertising agency. Okay, so today we're going to look at what is it that the advertising agencies do. Okay, so advertising agencies help companies sell their products or services by creating awareness and the need for products. That means they create advertising. Okay, so they create an advertising campaign or an advertisement. Okay, so number one, they can develop the strategy in terms of IMC, integrated marketing communication. How are we going to make aware how are we going to make the public aware of the products and the services that the clients sell? Okay, so that's you develop now a strategy. How are you going to implement all the ideas that you have? Then they also do research, the research about the market trends, the research what is going on in the market, the research even the prices of the products and services that is being offered by the client to see what the other competitors are offering as well. Then obviously the most important thing is they create the advertisements. Okay, so it is the duty of the advertising agents, once approached by the client, to create the advertisements. It is their duty as well to place them in the media. When they say place them in the media, meaning after they create an advert, it is the duty now of the advertising agents to choose which platform to utilize according to specific needs and according to specific target audience. Who are we targeting? So the target audience also determines which platform to use. Are we going to use radio? Are we going to use television? Are we going to use newspapers? Are we going to use Facebook or Twitter? Okay. Then also securing new clients. They have to look for clients, just like any other business. You have to look for new clients. Then pitch process. Zenzo, what do you understand by pitch process?
Pitch process. At the top of my head, I'm thinking of like ways to execute a successful business pitch. So basically telling the investors what you are about, basically. Just like to explain them and run them through the services that you're offering and how it may benefit the company. So I feel like that is the whole process in planning that business pitch, whatever it is.
Okay, okay. So correct. So in advertising, a pitch is how an advertising agent proposes marketing ideas for a brand, product, or services to a prospective client. Okay. So an advertising pitch should present the agency's marketing strategy in a creative way and also express how their marketing efforts will accomplish the client's goals and deliver the brand's message. Okay, so that's your pitch process. Okay, so basically, again, it goes back to your strategy. How are you going to do everything? Okay, then against other agencies, you protect your agents. You need to work within the realms of advertising, as in terms of also quotations, how you charge, and things like that. Then present creative work and ideas. Definitely. Once you get a client, you need to show the client that you are very creative, that you got ideas. Okay. Because with clients, you're going to deal with clients who have no idea what they need. So it will be your responsibility to come up with very creative ideas. Okay. So that's basically some of the functions of, these are the major functions of advertising agencies. Okay. So what are the tasks then of advertising agencies? Okay. Number one, it is to monitor the news and tenders for either government or businesses, networking around new clients that could be approached. Okay. So advertising agencies need to understand what is happening now. They, they will do this through revenues. They need to understand what's going on. They need to know the tenders that are out, government, businesses, things like that. If there are tenders, you also need to bid for tenders. Networking around new clients that could be approached. Of course, you need to network around. Let's say you have your advertising agents in Durban. You need to network, meaning you need to find out people. You need to get new clients, people with potential business that you need to approach and say, hey, can we do business together? Secondly, you need to pitch for new business, just like what you explained, the pitching of new business. Present your ideas, present why you think you're the best advertising agents. Then also 3, you need to sign a contract and the admin duties associated with it, of course. Then taking a brief from a client, coming up with a strategy and creative idea, presenting the strategy and the rough concepts, getting approval. Okay, getting approval from the client. That means you present your strategy. How are you going to approach this? How are we going to do the advertising? Okay, so you come up with different concepts and things like that. Then the client needs to approve. Then producing the advertising. This is the production. Remember, the production department now works together with the creative team in producing the advertising, the campaign that the client will pay for, or what the client is already paid for. You produce now. Then you place the advertising. Like I explained before, either you place in on different media platforms, it can be social media, it can be our traditional media. Then you monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of the campaign that you have created. So once you have created the advertising, now you monitor it. Monitor, you see, is it being effective? Is it leading to any sales? Is it leading to any engagements? Okay, so you need to analyze the effectiveness. When it comes to social media as well, when you advertise through social media, it is very important, and it's easier these days to understand the effectiveness of your advertising campaign. For instance, if it is on Twitter, then you also look at how many people liked your adverts, how many people got engaged, discussions, things like that. You monitor the effectiveness. Okay. Now we move on to types of decision involved within the advertising agencies. There are decisions that they have to be made. So we have objective decisions, communication objectives, and sales objectives. Okay. Objective decisions, these are decisions based on what you want to achieve, your goals. Okay. Then we have communication objectives. These are basically based on how we are going to do the communication, how we're going to create the advert. Then also the sales objectives, self-explanatory there. This is the goals that you set, or the decisions that you make based on the sales. Okay. For instance, we can have budget decisions. Is this approach going to be enough? Things like that. Affordable approach, the percentage of sales, competitive, parity, objective, and tasks. Okay. Then we also look at message decisions, the message strategy. What is the strategy that we are going to utilize when we are sending out the message? And the execution of the message. I'm going to create a clip, a sound clip within 30 seconds for radio. I'm going to create a video within radio. So we have to make decisions of how we are going to communicate and how we are going to execute the message, to send out the message. Then we look also at media decisions, the reach, frequency, impact, main media types, specific media vehicles, and media timing. Again, which platforms you're going to use. These are the decisions that you need to make. The frequency, how often are we going to advertise? Is it 3 times a day on radio? Or is it the whole day? Or is it the prime time between 5 and 8 p.m.? All those things. Okay, main media types. Are we going with the radio and TV? Or we are going with social media? And we are going with mobile advertising, things like that. Then campaign evaluation, communication impact, and sales impact. You need to understand, is there the relationship between your campaign and sales impact? Has your campaign, your advertisement led to an improvement in sales? Has people been well informed to make a decision to purchase? Remember, advertising is there to persuade people to buy either your products or services. So now he's saying, after you have launched your campaign, you need to evaluate. Has the communication made any impact? Have the sales improved? or nothing has changed. So that's an evaluation that you do after you have created your campaign. Okay. Then we move on to now, we need to understand the process of how we work in a advertising agents. So there is the traditional creative project management process. Okay. So this is just a simple way of looking at an advertising tasks or duties of creative project management process. So we call it traditional creative project management process. So basically there are 7 steps there. So the first step is define the project and prepare estimations. So once you get a client, you need to define the project. Okay. You can call this project, okay, we are working with Old Mutual. So this is our Old Mutual project for whatever, let's say it's for Olympics or something like that, where we are creating a campaign for Old Mutual. Then you have your step 2, develop internal creative brief. Okay, Google, what is a creative brief?
Hi, sir. I think a creative brief, it's more like the summary of what the creative team needs to do in order to achieve the advert.
Correct. Okay. So a creative brief, it can be a document that is used by creative professionals and agencies to develop creative deliverables, visual design, copy advertising, websites, etc., etc. Okay, so this is basically an inclusion of your strategy, like what you just say, how you're going to do the things and stuff like that. Then we have step 3, the first project meeting. So on step 3, you've created your creative brief, you meet with the client, you discuss, you present. Remember that lesson we talked about presenting your creative brief to the client, isn't it? So you're basically explaining the contents in your creative brief, your strategy, okay, your creative ideas. Then step 4, you have creative ideation. Ideation now, on creative, you're now thinking out of the box. You're coming up with ideas, concepts of how we are going to run this campaign. Okay, then you design it in a way that you feel this is the best way, an amazing way. Then step 5, we move on to production. So once the graphic designer is done designing, let's say for instance, a poster, then we move it into production, the actual printing of the posters. Then we have our step 6, which is the execution. Okay, so if it is an advert that has been created for radio or for TV, then you move it to either SABC, ETV, or SuperSport. That's the execution. Then step 7, you evaluate now. Okay, that advert that we are running on SuperSport, is it making any impact or just losing money unnecessarily? So you need to evaluate the effectiveness of any given campaign that you work with. Okay, so basically these are the 7 steps that you find within the traditional creative project management process. These are the processes that you find within advertising agents, how they work. Okay, any questions, guys? Mr. Zenzo, are we together?
Yes, we're together.
Okay, cool. So now let's move on to so we started with that 7 step. Okay, we have another one, what we call it the 12-step model. Okay, meaning it has 12 steps that we follow. So step number 1, the AE, that's your account executive or the team, they meet with the client, discuss with the client. Okay, then step 2, the AE writes a creative brief, just like what we're doing on the 7th step. So the account executive now creates a creative brief based on the outcome of the meeting in step 1. So once you have met with the client, then you come up with a creative brief where you're now trying to outline what is it that we need to do here, the problem that you need to solve, and what are the requirements that we need in order for us to achieve whatever that we have discussed in step 1. Okay. So then we have our step 3, the AE can now brief the creative team. So step 3 now, once the creative brief has been created, then the account executive will meet with the creative team. Creative team, this is where you find your graphic designers, your video editors, people like that. Okay, so the information provided could include a timeline, a budget, proposed media, and other factors. Okay, you need to tell the creative team what budget you have and the proposed media. When they say proposed media, they basically say which platform we are going to use. Is it radio? Is it TV? Social media? Okay. Then step 4, the creative team now works on the project for the amount of time it was given in step 3. So within step 3, you also agree the time frame. Are we going to work within the next 3, 4, 5 days we should be done? Or is it a 7-day project? Things like that. Then on step 4, the creative team start working on the project itself. Step 5, the creative director evaluates the ideas and identifies elements that do not work. So once on step 4, the creative team design, come up with ideas, they work, then the creative director as well evaluates all those ideas in the concept and identify. This is now where even arguments start to rise. Okay, let's change that, let's do that, things like that. Okay, so the creative director also provides the creative team with feedback and gives them suggestions where necessary. Okay, guys, maybe we can change there. Let's change that, or let's change the sound, things like that. Step 6, the creative team will now make adjustment based on step 5 feedback. Step 7, the concept now goes back to the creative director for final approval. If the creative director signs off, the account executive can present the concept to the client. So once the creative team has worked on the necessary adjustments and corrections and things like that, and the creative team boss is approved, then they send it to the account executive. The account executive will take that work and present it to the client. Okay, so now the client will review the concept in step 8. The client will just basically look at on the concept that has been presented and feel, okay, do we change anything? Is it okay with us? Things like that. Then on step 9, this is where the actual advertisement is created. Here, the creative team works closely with the account team, media buying, production, and the creative director. So step 9, if the client approves, you're actually working on the advertising campaign now. So now you need to understand, okay, we're gonna slot this advertisement between 7:30 and 8 p.m. on ETV. Okay, so you work within, okay, so it's gonna be a 15-second advert, things like that. That's how it works. Then on step 10, the final advertisements are now presented to the client for approval. Once the client signs off, the advertisements are published on the agreed upon medium. Okay, so on step 10 now, once everything is final, the client has to approve as well. Okay, so this is the final product. Are you happy? Once the client signs off, meaning the client is happy, gives you the go ahead, then you publish it on the agreed media platform. Online, print, outdoor, what is it going to be? Okay. Then step 11, the agent monitors the advertisement to determine its success. It also determines the client's return on investment. The agents then provides all the information gathered in this step to the client in the form of feedback. Of course, the client would want feedback. So you as an advertising agent, as an expertise of that field, you monitor, you evaluate. Are there any effects? The advertising campaign that we are running on TV, is it yielding any success? You gather all that information, you give that information back to the client. Then on step 12, this is where the project is closed out and the client pays the agents for the services rendered. So if successful, you close the project, you are done with your old mutual project that you're working with. The ad has been successful, it's being aired on radio, it's being aired on TV. Of course, now Old Mutual needs to pay you. Okay. Any questions on the steps where you feel you don't understand? Okay, no questions. Okay. So let's move on now. So let's look at the workflow of advertising agents. Okay. So remember the steps that are involved in the actual production, from creative brief to the final. These are all steps that needs to be followed. They are coherent, meaning they work in a very organized way. Okay. So the steps that are involved in the process, from initiation to completion of a piece of work, The workflow, the tasks, the roles, the responsibilities are intertwined concepts. Okay, meaning they work together, they're interconnected. Just like if you go back to the duties and the responsibilities of each person working at an advertising agency, the duties are interconnected. Okay, in as much as you might be working in a different department, but at the end of the day, our goals are the same, our objectives are the same, just like on the steps. They're interconnected. You can't miss the other and utilize the other. You need to work within all the steps. Okay. Okay. So this is a simplified generic workflow in a creative advertising agency. Okay. Google, what do you understand by workflow? It read you well. What do you do when you say workflow? What is it?
I think it's a day-to-day activity of the activities that you need to perform at work as the agency, because even if there's an advert that you need to work on, but there are always activities that you need to perform. So I think that's what they call a workflow. Like for instance, in a group, you would have different tasks. I think, yeah, they are talking about the tasks that need to be performed in an agency.
Yes, correct. Okay. So, because you need to create a workflow, meaning you need to understand if we move from here, we are going to there. If we move from A, we're going to B, to C, to D, isn't it? We move in a very coherent way. So these are very fundamentals in any given workstations. Okay. So we have in advertising agents, we have a briefing stage. That's your first stage. Then we have the creation stage. Okay, so the briefing stage, remember on the steps, meeting with the client. You and the client, you understand what is it that you want to solve? What's the problem? What is it that you want to achieve? Then the creation stage, yeah, starting to create, isn't it? You're playing around with the ideas, you're creating the concepts, the ideas, things like that. Then we also have the production stage where the actual producing of a campaign takes place. Okay. Then we also have the post-production stage. This is after you've done your advertising campaign, the evaluation. You need to understand the effects of that campaign that you have created. So that's your post-production stage. So that's the workflow. So in an advertising agency, this is basically all the stages that you face, and they keep on rotating clockwise. It doesn't change. If you do it for Old Mutual, you're gonna do it for ABSA, you're gonna do it for Boston, you're gonna do it for any other company as well. Okay. Okay, then we also have what we call creative brief stage of creative advertising. Okay, so remember, this is just a part of the process. It's not the whole process when you say creative brief stage of creative advertising. Okay, just like what you saw on the workflow of the media planning process, it's another example as well. Okay, so on the creative brief stage, remember creative, you have your account manager, you meet with the client, the creative team comes up with the strategy, things like that, changes are made, the account executive meet with the client again until it is approved, then distributed to the creative brief team to work with. Okay, the same with the workflow of the media planning as well. On the media planning, there's also need for a client input. Of course, the client has to share the sentiments, whatever ideas he has. Then you have your account group, your media planner, your in-house approval, and things like that as well. Okay, so all these advertising agencies we're talking about, these are full service advertising agencies. These are companies specifically dealing with advertisements, creation of advertisements. Okay. So what are the advantages of using an advertising agency? Let's say you're creating your own campaign, you're creating want people to know about your product. Zenzo, what do you think are the advantages of using an advertising agent?
Firstly, I think professionalism. You see, you're basically handing over the business to people that are experienced in the field and have done it before. And yeah, they can basically make advertisements that are appealing to the customers because they know exactly what to do. They've been in the field, and you can gain more exposure in terms of clientele because they obviously have to have connections in the outside world, be it on television platforms or whatever it is that the case may be.
Okay.
So I feel like those are some of the advantages.
Correct. So professionalism, you're guaranteed that you're going to get high levels of professionalism because you're dealing with people who are expertise in that particular field. Okay. So that's an advantage. Correct. Okay. Other advantages include advertising agencies. They give clients the opportunity to access specialist skills and resources, like I was explaining. So you're dealing with specialists here, just like visiting a dentist or visiting any other medical doctor who specializes with either bones or brain or things like that. You are guaranteed great skills and resources, just like in advertising. Okay. So advertising agencies also, the advantage is you have access to extensive advertising experience. Okay, think of that advertising agents that we talked about last week. One of the best in the world, it's based here in South Africa. What are the advantages? You're going to get a lot of ideas and experiences. They can actually advise you on how best to advertise, isn't it? They can help you with that. The third one is an advertising agency is able to provide a range of services all in one place. Okay, from creating, production to placing the media, things like that. Advertising agencies' production processes may be faster than that of an in-house unit. Okay. Asanda, what is an in-house advertising agent? Google, what is an in-house advertising agent?
I think it's an advertising agency that is I need this word, that is inside the company of the advertising agency. Like if also the ad agency needs to have their own advertisements, they use an in-house ad agency instead of going out to another ad agency.
Yes, correct. Okay, so that's correct. An in-house agent, okay, like what you say, it refers to a brand's internal team that focuses on the advertising and marketing of their product or services. So an in-house agency is responsible for all brands, marketing, and advertising tasks. Okay, including advertising campaigns and stuff like that. So basically, it's a department that is created within a company to handle all the advertising and marketing campaigns. So instead of you sourcing outside, you just do it yourself. Okay, so that's an in-house. Okay, so advertising agents, so this is another advantage. An advertising production process may be faster than that of in-house because of resources and focus. Okay, so using a full-time advertising agency, it's faster because these people, they deal with that. This is their business. Using an in-house, sometimes it takes time. Okay, you might argue, you might not come up with the things correct, skills, things like that. Another advantages of advertising agencies are brand development and guidance. Obviously, guidance is based on the experience that they have, the resources that they have, on the skills that they have. Research specialists who research and study continually may be more knowledgeable. which is true. Advertising agencies, they research often, so they understand what's going on in the market. Bigger agencies can change the creative team if there are any problems. If the relationship is not working, it can be terminated. Discounted rents on media because of mass buying. Okay, so advertising agencies also can give you discounts. Okay, things like that. Okay, so I want you also to research more about advantages of using advertising agencies. What else do you feel it's very important, or what you feel like companies, it would be better for companies to use advertising agencies? Okay. Yeah, so we have a video that I want to show you quickly here. It says benefits of using an advertising agent versus an in-house. Okay.
Dizzy yet? So am I. Trying to decide between hiring an agency to manage your online ads or hiring in-house can be tough. Let's take a look at the pros and cons. After that title sequence, you can see that I work for an agency, so am I biased? Absolutely, but I'll try to take off my agency hat for a minute or so we can talk about the three big differences between hiring an agency and hiring in-house. 1. Skill diversification. When you hire in-house, you can usually afford to only hire 1 or 2 people, and you run the risk that some people who are good at paid search may not be good at managing social media presence. On the other hand, most agencies have experts in a variety of areas, so if you need expertise in multiple advertising channels, a marketing agency may be the way to go. 2. Predictability. Most in-house marketers find a new job every 2 to 3 years. If you aren't worried about retraining your marketing team every few years, then hiring in-house may be a good way to go. In contrast, marketers at an agency have a lot of different clients to keep them busy, so they tend to stick around a lot longer. And if you have to fire them, they're a lot easier to replace. 3. Partner perks. Now, I don't know if the person that you're looking at hiring has ins with Facebook or Google, and if they do, great. Agencies manage a lot of ad spend, so they get a lot of perks from ad platforms like access to beta programs, direct contact, and faster support. If those sorts of perks don't matter to you, hiring in-house may be a good option. But if you really need a leg up on the competition, an agency may be the better route. So, agency or in-house? Ultimately, the right decision is up to you, but for a more in-depth comparison of the two, check out the link in the description. And just so we know, in the comments, tell us, have you chosen to hire in-house or to use an agency? What was your biggest factor in your decision? And are there any advantages or disadvantages to using an agency that you would add to this list? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, please subscribe.
Okay, so a quick question. Okay, Zenzo, what do you think? Should we hire an agency or should we have an in-house?
I feel like it depends on the size of the company at first. If you are a fully established company like your Coca-Cola, so forth, I don't see a point in hiring an advertisement company. I feel like you can have it in-house and then hire the people that have the required expertise to basically improve the overall advertising within the company, because it also cuts down on costs to have in-house.
Okay, because in-house you can basically employ 2 people.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Experienced.
Okay, but in terms of creativity, don't you think it will limit you in terms of creativity, that you might at the end kind of rely on 2 people?
You see, the more the merrier, especially in creativity. So that will be one of the limiting aspects of it. The fact that you'll only be getting the perspectives of 2 people and not more. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you were to go to an agency, you'd have like a lot of people as well that could or could not improve the ad as a whole.
Okay. Anyone else with a different opinion?
I think hiring an ad agency would be much benefiting rather than using an in-house, because mostly with in-house people, they tend to drag their feet if they know they're not going to be paid and it's something that it is just for in-house. As for the other ad agency, they would actually do mostly 100% job because one, it's going to be good for their own exposure. Two, they want to deliver proper stuff and professional stuff for the client. So they will do their utmost best that they deliver the ad in a proper way, like 100% job. As to compared to the in-house people, because they won't be 100% in the job, and the whole team of the in-house is not going to be involved, because if I heard correctly, I said this guy, you can at least get 2 people from the in-house. So the in-house is already lacking with the team, whereas the whole new advertising agency that's going to be outside will give it 100% job.
Okay, Zento, I can see you raise your hand.
Well, you see, sir, like I said, it primarily depends on the size of the company. So if you look at companies like the biggest advertisement firm in the world, WPP PLC, which brings in a revenue of about 12 billion, well, that brought in a revenue of about 12 billion pounds last year, they can afford to hire a bigger creative group. Do you understand? They don't need to approach an ad agency or whatever to promote their services as a company. And I am guessing that their services are quite expensive, which would not be ideal for an aspiring company. If a company is still getting on its feet, it cannot afford to have those expensive ad agencies that know their stuff and so forth, because there were studies conducted, research that was conducted, and it was found that most companies tend to spend more on advertising while the company is still small, and that then results in bankruptcy and all of that, which really isn't ideal, whereas they could have utilized whatever was accessible around them at that point in time, be it your social media and whatever, that they could use at their disposal. So in essence, it all comes down to the size of your company, the affordability, and yeah, basically how you can maneuver your way around it as a whole.
Yeah, so that's what you're saying is correct. At the end of the day, it all depends with the size of the company. It all depends with the budget. It all depends with the financial muscle that your company do have. Okay. The advantages of advertising agencies, as we discussed earlier on, is usually the skills, the experience, the professionalism. Chances are high that they employ people of high skills, people with a lot of experience. And remember, these are the people that do research every day to understand the world of advertising. So hence, they adapt so fast than an in-house and things like that. Okay. Okay, so guys, let's continue again just after 2 minutes. Okay, so I'm giving you a 2 minutes break. Then we continue, please. Okay, guys. Okay, so now let's look at the disadvantages of using an agent. Okay, and advertising agents. What are the disadvantages? We've discussed the benefits, the advantages, and we've looked at the benefits between in-house and advertising agents. What are the disadvantages? Number one, it says more expensive than in-house. Okay, risk or leak prior to launching. Okay. Vision, mission, objectives, industry, etc. may be more deeply understood by in-house staff. Okay, by this they are saying, let's say you're creating an advertising ad, the vision and the mission and the objectives, even of the company, can be understood better by those that work in the company. They can understand the company's culture. Just like you understand your family better because you're part of the family. So if you're designated to speak on the behalf of the family, you'd understand, okay, I can say this about my uncle, I can say this about my aunt. That applies also in the advertising agency. We are saying an in-house can understand the mission and the vision of the company better than an advertising agents. Okay. Then risk or leak prior to launching. Ideas may leak, you know, before you even launch your own campaign. Agent staff may be less enthusiastic about a product and service. Correct. Sometimes advertising agencies, they'll just do it for the sake of doing it. They don't have any attachment to it. They don't have any feeling towards it because they've been working with thousands and or hundreds of advertisements before. But if you're using an in-house, there might be that enthusiasm to work with a campaign that is close to them. Okay, so for an advertising agents, this is maybe it can be just for money, so they'll create it quickly. There's no attachment to it, then they just air it out. Smaller clients may be a lower priority, which is true. Advertising agents usually, all the businesses, if you have noticed, they want to get that that rich guy. They want to get that rich company. Okay, so smaller clients, you go there, you want to do your campaign, just a small company, you might not really be prioritized because they are looking maybe for ABSA, F&B, all those big guys. Okay. Another disadvantage is it's complicated services. Products may be difficult for some of the agents to understand. Okay, so some people, the creative department might find it very difficult to understand the idea or the concept that the client is trying to sell. Okay. Expectations may be unclear or become clouded. Too many. They become too many to handle. And agents will be less invested in company than those who run the company, which is very true. The sentiments are different. An advertising agent won't be attached to your product or to your service now. But the people that work with you, the in-house, they'll be attached because they know this is their bread and butter. This is where they get their salaries. Okay. What else? What other disadvantages do you think are available when you're using an advertising agent? Any other disadvantage? Okay. So now let's move on now to advertising agent stakeholders. Okay, so a stakeholder is someone who has an interest in the activities, the functions, and well-being of another. That is an individual or a group or an organization. Okay, so stakeholders may provide financial support to or communication about the advertising agents, interact with it, influence it, or have perceptions of it in some way or another. Okay. Google, what are the stakeholders? Who are the stakeholders of advertising agents?
I think the stakeholders, sorry, I think the stakeholders are the people who have shares in the company.
Okay.
Yeah. Or rather maybe who what this word, who invested in the company.
Yeah,
like
fine. It's okay. Shareholders, it's correct.
Okay.
Who else? Because, okay, on the definition, and remember it's saying someone who has an interest in the activities, function, or well-being, in this case of advertising agents. Who has interest in advertising agents? Okay, so number one, who are the stakeholders? Number one is the potential employees and specific departments and faculties within the training institutions. Okay, if it is, for instance, it can be Boston Media House, Boston City, any other educational institution, isn't it? Then we also have customers, clients and potential clients. These are all stakeholders of advertising agents. Then we also have associates, intermediaries, and freelancers. These you have your creative workshops, your freelancers, your writers, your designers, okay, etc., etc. Then of course your shareholders, like what you're saying, your individuals or companies. It can be gray and olive to report on their holding companies. Okay, so stakeholders, these are all the people that have an interest in advertising. Okay, your press can be broadcast, digital, biz community, marklives.com. Then you have your media that sells their advertising space. You have your Mnet, your SuperSport, your SABC, all these other. Then also you have your suppliers, your personal agents, your auditors, your web hosting, your banking, your printing, your info and technology equipment. Okay. Then of course, the other most important stakeholders are advertising industry bodies. These are the regulatory bodies and governments. Remember when we talked about regulation of advertising? Okay. So these are the regulating bodies that we have in South Africa. The Audit Bureau of Circulation of South Africa, ABC, the Interactive Advertising Bureau, okay, Advertising Media Association of South Africa, the Advertising Standards Authority of South Africa, Print and Digital Media South Africa, Out of Home Media South Africa organizations. Okay, so these are all regulatory bodies that we find in South Africa. So I want you also to research more about these. You read and find out what is it that they do. What does Audit Bureau of Circulations of South Africa, ABC, what is their mission? What is their vision? What is their duties? Okay. Then we also have the Advertising Media Forum, AMF. Okay. Then we also have the South African Audience Research Foundation. We also have Association for Communication and Advertising, the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, the National Association of Broadcasters. Okay, so these are all stakeholders. Southern African Marketing Research Association. Okay, so these are all stakeholders. So remember, stakeholders, these are the people or companies that have an interest in what you are doing. In this instance, have an interest in advertising. Okay, so as an advertising agent, of course, you work with your banks, you work with your suppliers. Let's say you're an advertising agent and you're creating billboards or digital billboards or banners. You need suppliers of those materials. You need clients, people who are going to utilize you, so they become the stakeholders. Okay, just like if you think of Boston Media House, who are the stakeholders of Boston Media House? Zenzo, who are the stakeholders of Boston Media House?
Are not the investors? I mean, yeah, I feel like it's people that own shares and invest within.
We are.
Yes,
Yeah,
you are the students and the stakeholders. Me, I'm the stakeholder as a worker.
we are the stakeholders.
The cleaners,
Yes, we are.
the lecturers, everybody that is involved, that has an interest. Remember, we are saying stakeholders. I'm not saying shareholders.
Okay. Maybe that's interesting.
So everyone, just like what Tabiso is saying, everyone involved at BMH, okay, is a stakeholder. That's why when remember when you talked about the stakeholder, who are the stakeholders of advertising agents? We say the potential employees, customers, associates, freelancers, shareholders, advertising industry, media, all those people that are of significance to the industry. Okay.
But say, would you consider us as investors?
No,
because
you're not an investor, you're a stakeholder.
But don't stakeholders invest?
Okay, let me explain. It's fine. Okay. We're saying stakeholders. These are the people. These are the people who have an interest. Okay. If you look at that definition, stakeholder, someone who has an interest in the activities, functioning and well-being of another. That is, it can be an individual, it can be a group, or it can be an organization. Okay. They may provide financial support or communication about the advertising agents, interact with it, influence it, or have perceptions of it in some other way. Okay. So that's a stakeholder, someone who has an interest in the activities that you are doing. Okay. So if you're an advertising agent, who are the stakeholders then? It is anyone that can and is involved within advertising agencies. Okay. So we have employees, people that work for the advertising agents. Those are the stakeholders because they have an interest, isn't it? We have customers, your clients or your potential customers. These are stakeholders. They have an interest in your business. Okay. The interest we're talking about, we're not saying financial interest. No, they're interested in your activities. Okay. So shareholders also become stakeholders because they are also interested in the activities of a company. Okay. If you think of BMH right now, Boston Media House, who are the stakeholders? The students, the workers, the lecturers, the cleaners, the security. Why? Because we all have an interest in Boston Media House, isn't it? I'm employed, you are working here, I'm working here, so my interest is here as well, isn't it? You're getting your education here. You are interested in Boston Media House, hence you become a stakeholder. Are you clean now?
Understood, sir.
Okay, great. So just one more thing. Don't ever confuse a stakeholder with a shareholder. Okay. A shareholder, these are the people that have shares within companies. Okay. Stakeholders doesn't mean you don't own any company, you don't own the company, but you have an interest in that particular company. Okay. Now let's look at the stakeholders that we find within companies. They're also different. If you go to banks, they have their stakeholders as well: the clients, the workers, the companies that bank with them, the potential people that can bank with them. Those are their stakeholders. Okay. So now we want to watch this particular video. Then let me start with this one. Okay, let's watch this one. Okay, so we've watched that video. Okay, I want you to keep in mind this video. Okay, review the video on how to brainstorm. So now we're going to look at another video of how to brainstorm. Then I want you to relate it with this first advert that we have watched. Okay.
So I want to do a video on the creative process. I think sometimes it's pretty difficult to come up with an ad, especially when you're under a time limit, which that's just the way things work. That's how life works. So what I usually like to start off doing is brainstorming some ideas. And then to do that, take your pad of paper out, just like this, pen, and start writing down some words. So this month, we did Holden bow ties. So bow ties. So now what we do is we come up with the words that we associate with bow ties. So what do we got here? We got fashion would be the first one. So fashion. Write that down. Next to the bow ties. What else are bow ties? Bow ties are, in my opinion, funky. So we got funky.
also got handmade. These bow ties, not all, but these ones by Holden are handmade bow ties. Now, what else we got? What else we got? Oh, they're hard to tie. Very difficult. Hard to tie.
Can't tie my shoes, but I can.
Slash difficult. So we got four words now. So now we take those words and we connect some more words and we start coming up with ideas, start snowballing. That's what we get. All right. So first one, fashion. Fashion is beauty and sex appeal. All right. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Funky. Funky was the next one. What's funky? Cheese is funky. So put that. Well, I don't know. That might not work, but we'll just leave it. We'll just put it like that. Handmade. Handmade. Okay. Just like your daddy's bow ties and your daddy's bow ties. They were handmade. So we got that. Daddy's bow ties. Now, hard to tie / difficult. What else is difficult? Life is difficult. So, life is difficult. Only the strong persevere. And only the strong can tie their bow ties. Only the strong, only those who persevere figure out how to tie their bow ties. It's hard. It's not easy. So maybe our bow tie ad is about perseverance, figuring out how to tie the damn thing. And if you can tie the damn bow tie, then you can, I mean, who knows what else you can do. All right. Only the strong persevere. That's what we'll do. All right. So, look, we got a bunch of random words written down. We got sex appeal. We got funky cheese. We got handmade, just like your daddy's bow ties and daddy's bow ties. And we've got hard to tie / difficult. Only the strong persevere. So now, probably the best thing, if you don't come up with something immediately, which probably won't, maybe what we should do is go for a walk. Let the ideas percolate. Right. All right, so I came up with a couple good ideas. I can't tell you what they are right yet because the contest isn't over, and I don't want anyone stealing my ideas because believe me, it's happened before, and yeah, you know who you are. But if you do want to see the ads, subscribe to our YouTube page. They'll be posted at the end of the month.
Okay. The most important thing we watched there. Okay. So they are brainstorming, coming up with creative ideas. So this is how advertising agencies, when they say they're brainstorming or the creative department is coming up with the ideas, they brainstorm, meaning they come up with different ideas and think thoroughly through the ideas. Okay, so brainstorming basically it's a method that design teams use to generate ideas to solve clearly defined design problems. Okay, in the controlled conditions, which is maybe it can be in an office, a free thinking environment, teams approach a problem by such means as how might we? Okay, so how might we? This becomes the question. They produced a vast array of ideas and draw links between them to find potential solutions. So just like when someone approaches you and say, we need an advert for this and this, you brainstorm, you come up with different ideas, you wrote the ideas down. Okay, so remember the first advert that you saw. Okay, remember the first advert that you saw, that Kappa advert. Okay, do you want me to play it again or you still remember it? Okay, so I'm sure everybody still remembers it. Okay, so that Kappa advert. Here's the question now. So pretend you are part of a South African advertising agency that has been approached by Kappa. They would like to target young, mid to upper income South Africans between the ages of 18 and 30. They have shown you their latest adverts that has not yielded much interest from the type of consumers they are targeting. They ask you and your team to come up with an advert idea that will drive sales of their sportswear range, their advertising budget is unlimited. Come up with an advert concept that will pursue their target consumer to buy their product. The advert can be radio or TV. Okay, so first off, let's discuss these ads. Okay, this is so they have approached you. They're saying we have money, the budget is unlimited. They want you to work on something targeting 18 and 30 years of South Africans. Okay, so this is their first ad. Okay, so they have approached you, Kappa. First and foremost, do you think that they did brainstorm their ideas with this ad? What do you think of this ad?
For me, sir, this ad is just bland. I get no message, even the visuals. I just don't understand it.
So in a way, this is just a pathetic advertisement, isn't it?
It is.
Because there's nothing creative there, isn't it? Just like people taking pictures.
The ad is confusing because who would wear a tracksuit when it's hot?
It's hot, yes, exactly my point. I'm like, these people are just chilling. It's not even cool.
Like I don't know. Maybe it was low budget or it was just pure laziness.
Yeah, they were lazy.
Terrible. This is a very terrible investment, and I wouldn't be attracted by this company. I'd actually choose Nike because of this advert. So I feel like in terms of brainstorming, say it was very. I feel like they just went. I don't think there was any creative effort here. It was just okay, guys, listen, we're gonna do this. Then they did it. I don't think they went through the process of brainstorming and so forth and research, whatever.
Okay, I agree. So we can actually see the importance of brainstorming when coming up with creative ideas, isn't it? Because now, when you come with an idea, you need to brainstorm. You come up with other smaller ideas. You interlink, isn't it? Like what you saw in that video, that guy, he came up with bow ties. Then he's thinking about bow ties. Who can wear bow ties? They are funky. Why is it funky? Because they are hard to tie. Why is it hard? Life is hard. You see, all these are ideas that are coming out, isn't it? I don't think that Kappa aid with that. I don't think, what did they brainstorm there? Okay, so now they approached you now. They're saying to you, okay, well, we understand our first ad was not good. So now they will say to you, come up with an advert concept that will persuade their target consumers of 18 to 30 years. And they're telling you the budget is unlimited. What will be your first thing there? What are you going to do?
What I have in mind. Okay.
No, you can go. Sorry.
That's cool. I was just thinking, I think they would have to, for instance, they're just wearing tracksuits and it's sunny. I'm sure with their range, they would also have maybe tights, like the gym wear. If maybe they were wearing gym wear and they are jogging, running, or doing some sort of sports, maybe then you would think, okay, they're advertising their gym wear or something like that. Even those tracksuits, and they're only skinny people on those tracksuits, so they're not even catering for people like us. So I
Okay, so your
would really
concept.
ask them.
So you are saying so you are saying your advert concept. You are going to incorporate. You're coming up with you're going to incorporate even big size people.
Yes,
Okay.
obviously, of
Because remember,
course.
okay, so remember, because the question is come up with an advert concept. We're not criticizing that Kappa one anymore. We're saying come up with a concept
Yeah.
that you think might work for you, for Kappa. And they're saying to you the budget is unlimited. You have money. Come up with the idea.
Yeah, well, I would come up with those things, the sizes and other avenues, not only tracksuits, would also gym wear, and yeah, some other stuff.
Okay. Anyone else? I have Tabiso. Tabiso is saying you travel somewhere cold so the product can complement the clothing range. Okay, the weather aspect there. Okay, so in as much as you are saying now, when Kappa approaches you, these are the concerns that you're gonna raise. All these things, the weather, the big size, you need to accommodate each weight and size and things like that. Okay, so what's the other new concept that you can bring on the table? Any new concepts that you might think of?
So, sir,
Mm-hmm.
the younger generation is depressed, man. Do you understand? It's kind of depressed. It's sad. So a strategy that I've noticed in Converse is that they give people stories that they can relate to instead of communicating about their products as a whole. So they will show or tell a story about something that some of us have experienced, and that's how they grasp your attention. So in this case,
Something like
I like Tabiso's thing about the weather and so forth. So you would incorporate things that the youth would generally do, like attending parties maybe at night. It's cold, so you need a sweater or a jacket. So then you'd wear that tracksuit. Or maybe you're working out after practice and it's cold, going back home. What sort of a brand would you decide to wear? Maybe you'd wear the shorts of Kappa. Maybe you'd wear the hoodies, whatever it is that they've got. I would basically expose the whole range, but tell a story in short, but very descriptive ways.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if I wanted to include the jacket, I'd show maybe someone coming back from gym, or if someone's running, maybe I'd incorporate the shorts, or if someone's at the beach, then I'd incorporate, you see, like I'd have that kind of approach, but something that would generally relate to the youth, not people being lazy and, just something that would inspire you to invest or buy my product as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hear you. Okay, so don't worry about the volume there because I did mute. If you look at this ad, it won't even pursue you to buy. It won't even make you feel like buying the tracksuits, isn't it? It feels like just a normal photo shoot, a photo shoot of just people. At the end, you're just seeing people wearing tracksuit. It doesn't have that zeal. There's no energy. There's absolutely nothing that you can say, oh, okay, I think I can try Kappa, isn't it? They're just showing us people standing. Okay, see, then they're done. They're just saying Kappa. What?
See, I think there's a concept behind that actually. Because
what's the concept,
there are two main people. So that Kappa is a guy and a girl like sitting back to back, right?
Oh, so it's a coupling thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's what they're trying to promote.
It's a dating thing now.
I feel like maybe that's what they're trying to promote. That listen, you guys are gonna fall in love. You're gonna be lovers.
Oh.
And you're gonna be happy if you buy Kappa
where lovers
instead
go.
of going instead of going to the supermarket and being depressed and being bored. If you wake up, you'll get girls. Maybe that's what.
Oh wow.
Okay. Remember now, what are the functions of advertising? That's very important. You need always to remember the functions of advertising. Okay. Number one, it's a promotion of sales to persuade people to buy products or services, or it can be an introduction of new products. Okay. Or, trying to create um, or to establish and identify new customers, motivate people to either change behavior and things like that, isn't it? So product identification is very important, or the promotion of goods or products. Okay, so when you advertise, remember you're spending money, and remember on our steps we say even after you've aired the advertising campaign, you need to go back and evaluate and see if this advert was effective. Okay, this cup advert, I'm sure it won't be effective. It won't. It's not bringing attention to the people. Okay. As later on, as we learn, also we're going to learn about the AIDA model, where advertisements need to catch the attention. They need to create that interest. They need to create desire. Okay. From this, there is no desire that is being created by the ad. Okay. So in a way, that's why the question is now, they will give you an unlimited budget for you to come up with a concept. Meaning, come up with a new concept that can be that can bring attention, can arouse interest, can create desire, If it fails to do that, then it's failing the functions of advertising. Okay. Because in a way, if you just watch this randomly on TV, you just be like, what are these people doing? It's not that it's not pushing. It doesn't have any zeal in it. It's nothing. Okay. So that's why the question now, we say you need to brainstorm your ideas. These are one of the major functions or opportunities that you find in an advertising agency. They brainstorm the ideas, they present the ideas to the customer or the client. Then the client will go with, okay, I think I like this idea. Or, no, I don't feel this idea is correct at all. Okay. Any questions?
I wanted to ask, I'm not sure whether, okay.